Towards the Isaac Accords, Israel's fingerprints on Colombia's election. Colombia just concluded an election last week, with a tight race between the two top candidates. Senator Iván Cepeda lost to Abelardo de la Espriella, a businessman. The runoff, narrowly won by de la Espriella, came down to 49.66% of the vote against 48.7% for Cepeda. Colombia's outgoing president, Gustavo Petro, who could not contest again, has alleged electoral fraud in the result. In a barrage of posts on X last week, Petro alleged that the opposition bought votes, and that Israel and the United States interfered to help de la Espriella win. Background: Petro's claim may lack substantial proof, but the policies pushed by both leading candidates have something significant to do with Israel. Cepeda aimed to continue Petro's policies, including the 2024 decision to cut ties with the Zionist state in response to the Gaza genocide. Before that break, Colombia had supplied more than half of Israel's coal imports, and Israel had been one of Colombia's main military partners, selling everything from rifles to jets. De la Espriella, by contrast, pledged to reverse those years and to relocate Colombia's embassy to Jerusalem. It was little wonder he drew cheers the moment the result was announced. Responding to Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar's congratulations on X, de la Espriella posted on June 24, "Thank you, my dear friend. Colombia will restore and strengthen its relationship with the State of Israel like never before. Israel can count on Colombia as a loyal friend and steadfast ally. May God bless our two nations." Netanyahu's office also congratulated de la Espriella as a friend of Israel, adding "Viva to the Isaac Accords," the latest banner for Christian Zionist alignment in the region. The interference allegation. De la Espriella's profile reads like exactly what Israel wants. Before launching his presidential bid, he lived in Florence, Italy, where he led a luxurious lifestyle. A U.S. citizen and a member of Trump's Republican Party, he was openly endorsed by Trump, who has since taken credit for helping him win. Petro, for his part, alleged that foreign actors accessed the National Registry's website and rewrote voting data. He said his party had requested a technical audit of the voting software before the election and asked authorities to preserve the digital footprints of all electronically transmitted documents to prevent tampering. However, he noted that these requests were ignored. Petro further alleged that the IP addresses of several election servers had been changed, calling this proof the result had been compromised. The only entity in the world with the capability to do that is the State of Israel. Colombia's Attorney General, Gregorio Eljak, has maintained that there is no evidence of fraud. On the surface, Petro's statements can be dismissed as a bitter concession. But this is not the first time Israel's name has surfaced in the context of election interference. A 2023 investigation by a consortium of journalists from 30 Western outlets pointed to a team of Israeli contractors, operating under no legal entity and known as Team Jorge, who claimed to have manipulated more than 30 elections worldwide using hacking, sabotage, and automated disinformation campaigns. More recently, Reuters reported that French authorities suspected the Israeli firm Blackcore was behind an online smear campaign targeting three hard-left, pro-Palestine France Unbowed, LFI, mayoral candidates. The same firm has been linked to alleged meddling in local elections in New York City and Scotland, as well as to operations in Angola and Togo. If private Israeli entities can reach this far, what should we assume of the state itself? Petro's accusation might have been interpreted by the global press as a conspiracy theory or a loser's cry, but the dismissal was too quick. To say the least, it ignored a project that has been operating in plain sight. The Isaac Accords. The keyword, the Isaac Accords, buried in Netanyahu's congratulatory post, was not coincidental. Conceived as a Latin American mirror of the Middle East's Abraham Accords, the project was seeded by the $1 million Genesis Prize awarded to Argentine President Javier Milei, a Zionist-backed honor given to figures judged to have advanced the cause of the Israeli state. The initiative's managing director for Latin America, former U.S. Ambassador to Costa Rica S. Fitzgerald Haney, said in an October 2025 interview published on the Genesis Prize website that the project, after Argentina, began with Panama and Costa Rica, with other Latin American states expected to follow. Haney laid out the milestones nations must clear to draw closer to the bloc: a new free trade deal, relocation of their embassy to Jerusalem, formal designation of Hamas and Hezbollah as terrorist organizations, and adoption of the IHRA definition of antisemitism. A downloadable PDF on the Isaac Accords website includes a further matrix that tracks prospective voting record at the UN in Israel's favor. The founding text, signed by Netanyahu and the Argentine president on April 19, 2026, frames the project as uniting nations of the Judeo-Christian tradition in defense of freedom and democracy, and in the fight against terrorism, anti-Semitism, and drug trafficking. It is little wonder these are precisely the themes that anchored de la Espriela's campaign. Thus, getting him to win the election is a win for Isaac Accords. Reading between the lines, an independent investigative journalist, Freddie Ponton, has reported that a March 2026 Israeli government cybersecurity delegation, comprising 7 firms and coordinated by Israel's Ministry of Economy, met with Colombian decision-makers about 90 days before the election. A regional pattern. Meanwhile, de la Espriela's win adds to a wave of pro-Israel electoral victories across South and Central America. Since October 7, 9 presidential elections have been held in the region. Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Honduras, Costa Rica, and now Colombia have all swung to the far right and toward Israel. Of the remaining 2, Mexico's president is not a Zionist but is herself Jewish, while Venezuela's Maduro, the region's most prominent pro-Palestinian holdout, was removed by U.S. forces in a night operation earlier this year. Seen against this backdrop, Petro's conspiracy theory looks less like the bitterness of a defeated politician and more like an early, uncomfortable diagnosis of a project that Israel and its allies have been building for years. This is a case of Colombia and of Latin America, but there are several cases out there.